Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Satish Ram, who finally gets to talk about one of his favorite episodes.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a really good episode, a really good show for us, because we're going to get to talk about Story for Steven, and we're also going to be talking about Shirt Club. One really, really good episode, and one really good episode with a really weird topic we're going to get on. So we're going to go on a little bit of a rant, I think.
Shirt Club is interesting, and admittedly, I will not get over the fact that he shot the mayor.
Yeah, we'll talk about the whole Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth thing a bit later. But,
right, because we had the discussion for Gravity Falls, too.
Did we?
Yeah, because we made the joke that when... Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a similar scene in Gravity Falls.
Right.
Right? And we were like, apparently that's the gag of the last 6 months, because...
Yeah. Yes, I get you. Very interesting stuff. So right now we're on Season 2, Episode 5. As we say always over this last season, it'll get better later. But as of right now, you might look at some episode lists, and this will be listed as something from Season 1. And the reason why that's so is because this was produced during Season 1. Same thing with Shirt Club, right? And, and it's funny because actually, and I'm not trying to do this to plug, I'm just saying it, in general. We have our Let's Play series, right? And and I thought something was a bit more lost footage-wise, and I actually found it, and that's really cool because we get to release an episode instead of having to just, redo something from scratch. But the point being is that it was filmed Episode 1, but we're going to hold it off till Episode 2. Even though some things might seem a little bit different, in my opinion, it's Season 2 episode, So, I don't know how they feel over, with Steven Universe and everything, but they're a lot better than our fucking Let's Play series. But still, the idea for me anyway, as someone who's created something and as well someone who watches this, it's just like, look, whenever it airs, in my opinion, that's where it was meant to air. So that's why we're doing it this way. We're not, we didn't immediately just jump back in our podcasts and, and stuff. Because, look, they aired during Season 2. So, yeah, your comments, Satish?
Yeah, both of them actually don't push forward any story in terms of a linear progression, but they're really enjoyable to watch anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, why would you not,
Yeah. So that's why, we're doing them here because I think also we already did certain episodes before we went back and saw that people, because of when they were produced, tried to place them, even though the air dates will be completely out of order, tried to place them back in Season 1. So, for anyone sitting here going, wait, they're doing the wrong episodes. I mean, technically, I guess. But, I say this each and every episode just because I always hope that there's some new listeners coming in, and I don't want them to be new and confused. So...
Right, and Story for Steven was one that I actually was really upset that they pushed forward, because this was planned for Season 1, and it was made for Season 1. And it was, the generic statement that we got about it was the Rose backstory. We get the idea of how Greg met Rose. And I was dying for this episode. And I remember when Steven Bomb hit, I was like, so when am I getting Story for Steven? It's like, well, that's been pushed to Season 2. And I was like, no!
I'm fine with it, though, because it didn't take a while in terms of it's only Episode 5 of Season 2, so it wasn't that long compared to, mid-season or something. And also the fact that I do think it worked better waiting for this, especially even for the political, not political power, sorry, the Shirt Club. All I think of is freaking Mayor Dewey, and I'm like, political! Yes, but I think they both work better here. I don't know, because as much as I can understand someone saying, Story for Steven really would have worked better near or in the Steven Bomb. Like you just said, I do think that story-wise, this is actually a cool down, right? Because it wasn't anything shocking. It was just a really nice story. A beautiful story.
One of my favorite songs in the entire series for what it was worth.
Oh, yeah.
At least to this point.
But, one of my favorite, I'll say. Because, hell, I have, Let Me Drive My Van Into Your Heart. And that's just from Greg. That's from, a male in series. And when you look at the Gems, well, I'm not going to say that they're female because, they're Gems. But still, from a feminine, if you will, song stuff, I'm a really huge fan of Stronger Than You. So it's hard for me to say that the opening for this episode, because of course we're right on Sorry for Steven. It's hard for me to say, oh, this is my favorite song, but I did enjoy it. I would perform it. I personally think, you've seen me recently, I think I can cosplay Greg.
I think I'd make a good Greg. But
thank you. I look down all the time and I'm like, I'm Greg. Young Greg. Remember, not current Greg. No, young Greg.
Yeah. As a completely straight man, I feel compelled to say this. Young Greg was hot.
Thank you.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way too. But no, really, like young Greg was hot, man, and he was fucking dropping fucking great guitar riffs.
Yeah, no, I really loved young Greg. Also, I really, really loved getting to see Rose, getting to see them interact. And also, okay, so Marty, it was Marty, right? Because I keep on, my brain tells me Marty. Thank you. I'm frustrated because, oh, by the way, very fucking slimy. He gets slimier every single, more and more whenever I watch the episode again. Or I forget how slimy he was previously. And then I'm like, wow. Every little thing where it's just like, of course you're in the van with a girl, you asshole. Oh, of course you're just going to say something like, oh, come on, don't worry about getting with, one really tall girl. Just get with a lot of nice small ones. I don't know, it's just like, man, you become sleazier and sleazier as every time I jump back into this. But anyway, so I really like seeing Rose and Greg interact, and I'm really happy that, okay, so I don't know if you thought this at first, and I think if you did, and if you didn't, I'll tell you why I did. What I thought was they were going to try and do some love triangle thing. Why? Because that's what we get way too much. It's the oversaturated thing where it's just like, why did you hate him, Dad? Well, he was my manager, and then I met Rose. But, neither one really connected. I enjoyed that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where
it's just, he was an asshole.
Thank you. That's literally in my notes. That's the exact phrase. Just I like that he was just an asshole.
Yeah,
and it didn't really connect to.
It made sense for what it needed to be there.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely made sense. I'm just happy that it wasn't the standard old cliche. Nothing wrong with it necessarily, but I'm happy that it wasn't that cliche. It was just, hey, he fell in love with this girl, right? Realizes, wait, why am I going to be with you if you're an asshole? And I'm not, and you're getting 75%, also, not even just a general asshole, oh, he's being rude to women. He's also constantly berating Greg.
Yeah, so this is an all-around person. I mean, I don't know what he does in his spare time because he's apparently not making money off Greg. But, the idea of 75-25, right? That was the actual thing?
That was the actual, yeah.
And then he's not there. I mean, Greg performs. He's not even working the frickin' merch table.
Yeah.
He was just, and he's constantly berating him, as you just mentioned. He was really just a bad person to be around.
Yeah, no. So
and I like that they made him out to be a good heel, for what it's worth.
Oh, yes. And interestingly enough, I think you and I can appreciate bad people in our lives when they help us gravitate towards good ones. Like in this case.
That's an interesting way to put it. I agree with you.
No, because that's what Greg
said.
Way
too. Yeah, he did.
Yes.
He was like, I guess I owe him. And I was like, what an interesting way to look at that, Greg.
No, I believe I've brought it up before in normal conversation. I mean, not citing anything, but I'm pretty sure we've brought it up generally as a concept. And it's just such an interesting thing to see because it's like, if he was, I mean, in a weird way, it's like, yes, Greg would have stardom. Or not stardom, but at least Greg would, because let's say Marty was a nice guy. By the way, why do I always get confused with his name? I always think McFly. So I can't I'm just like, no, it's not Marty. It's like, no, it is. So when I think of, if Marty was a nicer person, Greg probably wouldn't have, become a superstar, but he still would have been on the road all the time, and then he just probably would have been the same guy in his van, but without Steven. And that would suck because, he has a son and, and he loves his son and they're obviously, Steven loves him too, and it's really nice that even though all he really has is the van, he at least has Steven. So in a way, it's like, thank you, Marty, for being an ass. Because, well, it made the decision so much easier.
Yeah, it really did. And in general, and we also have him with Vidalia here. The woman in the van is Vidalia. And Vidalia
right.
bearing a strong resemblance to sour cream. Now, that becomes more important later on, but it's still something to remember, I think.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because I don't know how much, I know, because you know this, right? Or you at least remember that, because this is the problem, of course, with us doing podcasts after they've aired, like well after, because where we are in real life, there is more information about it, and it's not like it's a spoiler-heavy thing, but it is something that we haven't discussed on air yet.
All I can, I want everyone to understand, in my head, why is Matt so quiet? Because all I hear is the sound of my own screams in my head right now. You're just going on, and I'm hearing, please stop it. Oh, God, I don't know what's coming, but I think I do, and I'm scared. Please stop.
No, I'm just trying not to.
You're just like, yeah, remember when Steven died?
But do you not remember what I'm...
I think I know what you're saying. I just don't know if we should really be talking about it on air.
But, I mean, Vidalia's there. And Vidalia bears resemblance to sour cream. And at the time this came out, there was a lot of talk about Vidalia and sour cream being related. So,
but
yeah. That's all I'm saying.
So, yes.
Like, I can't get over this song. Like, I'm sorry to go back to it, but I really, really loved the song when it played. And I remember when I watched the episode, I played it like 20 times within the next week.
Yeah. No, it was really nice, Another thing that I liked that Rose, while she understood humor, I think still didn't understand certain intricacies.
No, she did not.
And it's great, because she's just like, whoa. Because in her head, she's probably, because they've been on Earth for so long, she's like, well, they definitely have some form of space travel. Because we do.
I loved it so much because of the idea, dude, of just like, later on, his gimmick is space. And like,
also, yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She understands that word. That's a word that's just like, you're an alien. But like she understands, like, oh, he has a space gimmick. But I do think that in some way or another she probably thought, oh, he's leaving. Like, at least the concept of him leaving. In my head, I still think that she believes he was leaving to space for at least a minute.
She did. No, she really did. I can't imagine anything else.
Yeah. But
and she thought it was cute, and it made me happy because this is, we're seeing Rose here. Like, we're actually getting to interact with Rose.
This is her.
And this is really wonderful.
Yeah, I'm really happy that... Yes, basically. It was really, really nice to see, to see the two of them kind of interact and, also to have Greg just apparently, she's like, Greg just like tall women. I mean, you could argue, I think they said the word big, but the thing is, she is a big woman, but she's also extremely tall.
Yeah, and I think what adds to that is that Greg mentions her height.
Yeah.
I think he's like, she was like 8 feet tall or something.
Yeah, which
and I
think
was
was only,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was funny because of the way it played out, where Marty was just like, you meet another tall girl, 8 feet, man. And I'm just like, damn it, Greg.
I laughed really hard because I think he does verbatim say 8 feet. And I'm like, how fucking stoned are you that you can say to your human friend 8 feet? Like, I know that
that's
obviously,
what Marty thought.
This is what I mean, like the idea of like, all right, we know the crystal gems exist, but Greg and Marty at this time are people who are not exposed to it. So, like, imagine me going to you, Matt, and just be like, yo, I just met a girl, and she's beautiful. Really, man? Yeah, she's 8 feet tall.
Well, I believe you can be 8 feet tall, can't you?
Yeah, no, but I mean...
It's hard.
Basketball play, the starting forward for the Knicks is 7'3". And we're like, yeah, you're a skyscraper.
You can be 8 feet tall, though. Giant Gonzalez
you can totally be
really
8 feet tall. Apparently, I mean, I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure, like, world record-wise it exists. But the likelihood of me sitting there and telling you, Matt, I made it. I met an 8 feet tall person.
In my head, it was like, "Oh, see it to believe it. You can. They block out the sun." Do you remember the shade? Do you remember the shade from before? Oh yeah, that cloud wasn't a cloud. But anyway, so yeah, no, I think it was just really nice to see them interact. Also, seeing Greg meet Amethyst and then having Amethyst say that she likes his hair because, of course, as we know, she adopts that hairstyle to this day. So it's really nice.
No, yeah, and I really enjoyed the in general interactions with like younger gems because like I know it's the idea here of like, well, excuse me, the idea that they aren't necessarily like getting older from when that happened to now, but they can change their appearance. So it's totally okay for them to be younger here and have completely different looks. And
I thought you were going to go for the idea that they even interact differently with the human world because once Rose left...
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, because once Rose left and Greg came into their lives, although technically Greg came in first, but still, they started to have more interactions with the human world. Because it seems like, like, it's not like they didn't interact. Of course they understand what humans are.
No, but
of course.
I mean, verbatim, I think, was it Pearl who was like, humans should stay on the other side of the fence where they belong? So it implies
as the sign says, because the sign said stay on the other side.
Says. Sorry, no, I'm
but
sorry.
Still,
I was asking.
No, but still, it's a good point. I just didn't want you to just go completely like, because I understand you were going to go there, and it makes sense.
I'm not doing my little Pearl thing now. But,
okay.
Yeah, I remember basically the idea of like, hey, you should be on that side of the fence. Mm-hmm. And it cracked me up a little bit because it's like, wow, that's where they are mentally right now.
Yeah, I mean, even Garnet, not understanding the idea of how fragile he is, just, I'll throw him over. I know it's on sand, but still, I am not a fan of being thrown over.
For that, by the way, because she picks him up like a freaking teddy bear, and he's just like, meep.
Overall it was really nice. I'm happy that it was nice that he had a shirt in her size. I don't know why I didn't expect it to fit because she was a very, very tall woman. I mean, she is not like humanly, for the most part, usually.
The immediate thing of her wearing it when he sees her later
was beautiful.
Was the most, like, my heart fluttered. It was like
even though she knew she would never see him again.
Right, like in her head, she would never see him again. But she liked it enough to put it on.
At least for a little bit. It was really nice. But, I mean, she really found him peculiar, which is very, I mean, that's nice. I mean, I know it might seem a little condescending to some, and I understand that, but it still is very nice because she is an alien from the stars, very different from us. But she still found him interesting. And that in itself is, well, interesting. I don't want to sound redundant, but it's true.
No, I totally agree. Subtle stuff about this episode, like dialogue-wise, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Like, total BS. Like, no one can ignore the universe, baby. Like, and I was like, God fucking damn it, how many universe puns do they have in their pocket?
That infuriated me because it's like, that makes me sit there and go, wow, like, I need to call myself that as a stage name or Galaxy or something.
No, and
like,
that came up later, too, because of the, like, I forget if we saw this episode already, but there's the idea of Connie just saying, I want to be part of your universe. No, just a line, for God's sakes.
I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No,
I believe it happened.
And I laugh because it cracks me up because they have like I think 5 to 6 universe puns or something in their pocket.
Their quota.
Yeah,
like we listen, guys.
Like, we're gonna throw this one out there when we can. We're gonna throw this one out there. And like so that one, no one can ignore the universe, baby. And then a whole fucking song, comment littered with beautiful writing about frickin' space shit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it was his gimmick.
That's what I mean. They knew, and I love them for knowing.
Yeah.
Much respect.
Yeah. Oh my God. And yeah, I think the cutest thing ever was just, of course, Steven giggling, and it was just like, "You love Mom." It was like, oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, because he's a kid, so like in his head, it's like, "You love her."
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I'd hope so, son. But no, it was really nice, and it sucks that she's gone because it's just like, I know it's obviously not like my parent or anything, and it's not any of our parents, but like it really does suck because like I really do want to see them interact in the present day, and it's really sad because I don't think we ever will unless it's like some kind of vision or something.
Yeah, it is something that I think most of us would look forward to because all their interactions today, I mean, this is the most we've gotten, but all we've gotten of Rose to date is, like, lovable, and, like, can we have more?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well. But, so this, out of the 2 episodes today, this was your favorite?
Yeah, Shirt Club was weird in a good way, but, like, Story for Steven was a really big thing for me.
I hate it because I agree with you. But I don't want to sound like an asshole where it's like, so let's talk about this shittier episode now. It's definitely not that at all. It's that Story for Steven was on another level.
Mm-hmm. I think it was really special, and I was waiting for it for a while, and it came through for me because it was cute.
Right. And Shirt Club, another one you've been waiting for a while, clearly, because it was also pushed back. Although you didn't know what you were waiting for.
Shirt Club was really interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it's another one of those, as we always say, the filler that's not necessarily filler, because you learn so much about these characters that it's really, really nice. And it brings you together. I feel like it brings the town together as, quote-unquote, people, right? Because if you didn't know about this, you really wouldn't feel that invested in them. And other than knowing that he's, he's the mayor's son, which you would have learned in some other plot-heavy episodes, but not much else, right? So, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode in terms of, you get to learn about Buck Dewey, you get to learn, obviously not learn about Steven and his dad, because of course he loves his dad. But, yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. Also, I loved how the artwork really, like, you can tell that they knew what they were doing, not only with showing how the artwork was taken by different people, where, Ronaldo looks at a piece of art and goes, "This is from aliens. Aliens from outer space brought this to me. First contact." And it's like, wow, of course, Ronaldo. Right? And then other people were a little bit more grounded.
Right. I mean, you had I laughed because you had, I think her name was Kiki, or at least part of the pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
Her reaction like, "I don't care. It's awesome." Like it shot her in the face. But she's like,
yeah, no, that's her that's the teenage. Oh, yes. No, yeah, that's the teenage thing about it, where her younger sister just like, a bit more, I don't say rational, but sitting there like, I would not wear that at all. And she goes, "Nah, I don't care." The whole idea of just, I'm invincible. It's like, no, you're not. One thing I enjoyed is, I mentioned, so I love the gems not getting puns, right? I don't know if you noticed this. Well, I know you noticed it, but I don't know if you thought about it the way I did. Lars is such a fucking poser, man.
Yes, he is.
I don't know if those were the exact words that you were going to choose, but yeah, Lars is a fucking poser.
No, I was going to say, I think it's hilarious how much he tries to fit in with Buck.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And, this is something we both died. We both literally died, I think, when we first saw it. Sour Cream was singing dubstep.
Oh, yeah, I love that so much, that as he's, like, walking, his natural, yeah. He's just naturally making these noises. And it's like, well, he needs to be a DJ, so...
Right, that's true. No, thank you, because I have a lot of, like, stuff like, oh, this is a reference. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I remember he wanted to be a DJ.
No,
so
I remember it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember the quote when you said, he wanted to be a DJ. I was like, I just want to be a DJ, Dad. And I remembered that. But at first I thought, which, I mean, is kind of true as well. It's just, it's very easy to, to be like, well, what do teenagers listen to? That. Okay, or the younger generation. Like, they listen to that. Okay, good. Also, we don't want to make a new song, even though they love making music, and or license something. Have them do dubstep. Because it's just so smart, I think, where it's just like you're having someone walk down the street and instead of singing lyrics, like, just lyrics to a song, no, it's just blah, 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 blah.
Right, like literally it's not even lyrics, it's the sound effects.
Which I have to admit, I've done before. I've done guitar riffs. Like,
I've done that too.
All the fucking time. No, dude, all the fucking time.
I distinctly remember when I was a kid, I had a friend of mine named Samantha, and we had a lengthy conversation about what, if we had to spell a guitar sound, like what would we do? And we eventually settled on like der-ner-ner, because like it was a freaking thing from like Creed. So it's like der-ner-ner-ner-ner, and like she spelled that out for me, and it would crack me up. So like in my head, it's always like that. Like I can. Oh God!
So. Yeah, I remember. This was a while ago. I remember just last month when you and I were doing a Let's Play. And it's just me just going like, no. Actually, I just did that the other day for our Star Wars one with Tristan.
Apparently that
Star Wars
stayed
Battlefront.
true.
What?
Apparently that stayed throughout them.
Those sound effects, because generally it's just the idea of just like, those guys are awesome. But that or Admiral Akbar is always funny to do, because I think eventually he either becomes Nixon or music.
Nixon or music are two different ends of the spectrum for me. I don't know about you, but
eventually it turns into, because it starts off with just like arm.
Like, I was jamming a Nixon.
Tear down that wall. Tear down that wall.
That's probably on YouTube, isn't it?
Tear down that wall. I don't know. It probably will be by tonight. I mean, it's the internet.
That's true.
No, but seriously though, because Akbar either goes from just like, I'm like, right? Like, by the way, that was Reagan, that wasn't Nixon. Anyway, so my impression. But still, you go from like to all of a sudden, when you're doing it so much, like, so it goes from just being Nixon to just music. But yeah, I can do it. I'm Not a Crook remix of I am not a.
This sounds like something that Futurama would have, if not has already approached, right? Because Futurama, and Futurama's over, right? But
yes,
Futurama was on top of all of that shit.
By the way, I'm a tastemaker, and I'm going to keep making taste.
I love him in general. He's such an odd character.
He's interesting because, I've heard, so some of the stuff I agree with where it's just like, hey, like we have to get this into public consciousness, if they're talking about it, that is a good thing, like certain things. But once it came to Steven basically saying, hey, I made this design, he mirrored, I haven't heard a lot of people take this stance, but I know I've talked to you about people that have. The stance that it's just, hey, once something's out there, it has to be out there. You can't remove it. You can't. So even though they did make that joke where you can definitely tell they were poking fun at themselves with Steven talking about his copyright.
That killed me, by the way.
I died.
They kind of gently patted Tumblr on the back. Like, we understand this is how your life is.
Your fan fiction stuff.
This is my art. Well, okay. And we understand. We know
I took that more so of people... Thank you. I took that more as basically the idea of like, fan fiction is technically illegal.
Oh no, I took it as like, because this happens a lot on Tumblr where they have to sit there.
Of course,
it
does.
You can't credit your artists, and I thought it was a shout out. Like, we understand your pain. We know that nobody cares.
No, I get that.
People should care.
Even though they should.
Your art, exactly that. Your art is important, so we're highlighting that for you. So kids will sit there and be like, hey, it is a bad thing.
No, that's true. I mean, I get that too. That's probably a better one than I was thinking of because they've made fun of themselves before. That's why I kind of went for that. But anyway,
they have. And always will.
Which
is appreciative.
But now here's the thing, right? The person that I'm talking about, the one that resembles Buck a little bit, isn't someone who doesn't care about someone else's artwork. It's the idea that everything should be in the public, like, domain, essentially. And I know it's like, public domain, I haven't said that in a while, or, man, you guys, is basically, we've talked about public domain before, not on this show, on some other ones. And, it's the idea of, like, after a while, very long while, because of the recent copyright laws, well, not super recent, but anyway, things are quote-unquote free. So a lot of books that you might think, I'm trying to think of some right now, like Wizard of Oz, right? The book's in public domain. Anyway, point is that there are people that truly believe that all art, when it's made, shouldn't have to be paid for. And even though it's just like, but someone needs to make money. It's just like, no, but they're just ideas at the end of the day. And mind you, I'm a huge, I can be considered a hippie, right? I've dated people that can be considered hippies. But by God, we need to make money. We need to live. It's not even about the whole money where it's like, oh, your money and your corporate greed. Look, I need to fucking live. Where do you expect me to live? But anyway, yeah, so I think we've talked about this before a long time ago where there are, I have met some people that are extremely into the idea of just, no, it's just, it's open to the public. You can't put a lockdown on these ideas. It's just like, I wrote them. They're my ideas. No one should be able to come into my house, take my novel that I've written, and say, here you go, everybody, free novel.
Yeah, and I have to admit, the way that Stephen chose to handle it turned out to be really, really Stephen-esque and really nice.
But at the same time?
I mean, I was speaking about the concept of printing Buck shirts.
I know.
What I was not commenting on is the course of action that follows.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Yeah. Okay, so he literally hit a breaking point and turned into fucking Lee Harvey Oswald with some John Wilkes Booth sprinkled with some other people I can't remember. Who I think speaking of Reagan, the guy who tried to shoot Reagan. I don't know his name right now. And I don't think we have a fact checker on the show, nor should we have one
we do not.
For people that are shooting presidents. But anyway, the point is that this was weird to me because, look, okay, usually when I laugh at something from Steven Universe or Gravity Falls, there might be an air of, oh my God, did they just do that? But it never comes to this usually. The only time I can think of was what seemed to be a fake, not really drug deal, but drug deal in Gravity Falls. But even then, I don't know, because, here's the thing too, I think, because situations like that don't usually kill anyone and police interaction is involved anyway, for some reason it seems nicer to me. I know it might sound crazy. But in this case, though, the idea of, president or politician getting shot at by lone gunmen on a clock tower, it felt more like something I would laugh at only based on shock value on Family Guy or American Dad, not something I would see on Steven Universe, which, as much as I like to say it's a family show instead of saying, it's a kid's show for the kids, because, of course, a lot of shows nowadays, and for the longest time, really, even though they are intended for children, they'll throw in those things here and there to make it more of a family show, right? I still felt weird seeing that in here because it didn't feel like something that would be here.
It also felt like, I think you may have just said this lost over, and I'm very sorry, but
okay.
Steven kind of snapping a little bit.
Yeah.
It was great because, he's leaving the house, so, what are you going to do about it? And he's like,
my God.
And then puts on the sunglasses, and literally, you put this in perspective, he shot the mayor. He shot the mayor
and
of
immediate
Bench City.
okay, here's the thing too, by the way, and I think maybe you notice, you definitely notice this on the internet. When tragedies happen, after a certain amount of time, for some reason it becomes completely okay to make fun of said tragedy. Not okay, but it happens is the point. It just it throws me off because I know that it's not too soon if we're looking at Lincoln, of course, or JFK or Reagan. It isn't too soon. But still, it threw me off because it felt like, well, even though it isn't too soon, it still, I think, is a bit too heavy to have in a children's show. Or, if you're not going to say children's, a show that's on Cartoon Network.
You know why I think it passes, though? Because he didn't shoot anything that was actually going to harm him. Like, because I see where you're coming from, but for me, I think it's pretty cool to litter those kind of references because it makes it more of a crossover appeal. Like, the kids may understand where that comes from, and that's okay. Like, when we were growing up, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't understand where the humor was based in. Like, that we saw on things. And I'm not talking about stuff like, just like, what was it, Rocko's Modern World? Or like,
no, I get you. Animaniacs is the one that popped into my
Animaniacs is still,
fingerprint.
by the way, one of my favorite freaking things on the planet. But yeah, a lot of stuff that we didn't get. Like, I remember watching Animaniacs a year ago and losing my mind because of like, just like the Prince one. Just get the Prince. The Prince is there. It's like, no, Prince. Or like,
no, it was great. It was like It was like, no, not fingerprints, fingerprints. And then he does the eyebrows thing. She's like, not in your life. Throws him away. And I was just like, oh. I mean, wordplay and stuff, I guess. And and we've seen it before. But it's the full situation of just him with the sunglasses shooting. And by the way, I know this is going to sound silly, that actually hurts people. Had it hit him in the head, it would have killed him.
I think we've talked about it.
Not to be that asshole.
We've talked about it, by the way. That is like the worst security detail in the effing world.
I laughed so hard because they knew what they were doing. Just, oh God, it's a shot. Ah! Whoa! It was beautiful. It was just, man, Mayor Dewey, you really gotta pay your people better.
Right.
You gotta hire some better security.
And what they did, they dived out of the way of a shirt.
They dived out of the... One of them dived. The other one just ran with his arms up in the air. And I laughed way too hard.
I mean, I get it. But come on, guys.
No, that was funny to me, I would say. That was the funniest part. But yeah, so then question. So if that didn't really deter, like if that didn't like make you feel like a little bit off about the episode, then why would you say the first one is better than this one? Just because, not just, but because of Rose?
It was I mean, it wasn't necessarily a commentary on this being bad. It was more a commentary on the other one being better because I liked it and it appealed to me. But Buck's character it was a weird line for me where him, like when he was acting, the way he was acting early on with Steven, it
was rude.
It confused me a bit because I didn't understand his intent at first. Like, I didn't get what he was doing. I'm like, oh, is he just being a teenager and helping him out? Because, like, a teenager, I mean, in such Steven Universe where they all love Steven. So they're like, hey, Steven's our buddy, let's help him out. So I'm like, wow, is he just helping Steven? But, like, I realize he's just he's, like, being part of the joke. It's like making a meme, you know? And he's just like, I made a meme out of it. And then you have here the perspective of the person who had the actual artwork or had something in place, and he's just like, but that's not what it was supposed to be used for, you know? And then, so it was good in that sense. Like, it was a good episode, but I was feeling weird ways. And I gotta give him credit for that, you know? But it was like, whoa, what?
All right. So, we've ended. We're done. We've ended the show. Not just yet, but, like, we made some time. Like, wow. Either way, good 2 episodes. Which is really funny because when I really say, man, those 2 episodes sucked.
Yeah, I know we in general, I mean, there's levels of good with this show. You know, I'll comment on liking one more than another. But in general, they win with us. And I'm not afraid to admit to that.
Yeah, no, of course. So, we'd like to thank you all for listening to those guys. I'm going to go on the rundown of all the stuff that we've done in the past. So yeah, keep on listening because you're gonna hear a lot. All right, for any of you new listeners. All right, so we've done a lot of different episodes of a lot of different things. We've done WWE. If you're a fan of wrestling, we've done or at least WWE. We've done a fan of sports entertainment. We've done a fan of WWE, WWE Raw, WWE pay-per-views, and a lot more stuff related to WWE as well. We've also done, obviously, Steven Universe. We've done Gravity Falls. We've done Mike Tyson Mysteries, interestingly enough. We've done Black Dynamite. We've done, in the anime section, we've done Dragon Ball Z movies. We've done Dragon Ball Z OVAs, as well as Dragon Ball movies and OVAs, and Bleach movies and OVAs. Also, one of our podcasters, Tristan Walter, is back from Africa. That isn't some kind of joke we like to make jokes about, but no, he's really in Africa studying archaeology, and he's back. So we can actually start doing Dragon Ball Super podcasts again, pick those back up. And we've also done Pokemon podcasts as well, Pokemon video game podcasts, and a lot more. And you can find those on our website, which is thoseguysonthe.radio.tumblr.com. Or you can find them, updates on some of our newer shows on our Facebook, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, @ThoseGuysRadio, and our Instagram, /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. You can also find us through iTunes, so you can search up Those Guys on the Radio, and you'll find us with all of our backlog of shows, over 200-plus episodes. We're also on YouTube, so you can search up TGOTR or Those Guys on the Radio, and you should be able to find us. We're constantly updating with new episodes that we do here. And, so those are all of our Those Guys on the Radio stuff. We also have ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, a Let's Play channel, TGP, Those Guys Play, where we've done a lot of different episodes. If you're a wrestling fan, Satish and I have done WCW Mayhem, legally, contractually, I have to say it that way. We've done that. Also, we've done some indie games as well. You and I have done Dreaming Mary and Whispering Willows, both indie games for the PC and more for Whispering Willows. And we've also done, Tristan and I have done Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. We've done Pets Crazy Monkeys. Interestingly enough. We've done Star Wars Battlefront just recently. And, and of course, you and I, we have the season finale coming up next month, too, for the Let's Play series. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. But, so again, you can check us out, TGP or Those Guys Play, for our Let's Plays. If you want to see some of our exclusive podcasts because we've done exclusive WWE podcasts, you can find them on our Bandcamp, which is tgotr.bandcamp.com. So definitely check that out if you want to see some of our older exclusive WWE podcasts that we've done for WWE SummerSlam 2005, as well as WWE Unforgiven 2005. We also have ourselves an email, thoseguysonthe.radio@gmail.com, and you can email us there about different promotional opportunities if you want us to promote you on our show. Also, if you want to email us about certain shows, you want to say, hey, those guys should really podcast on this or that. We would definitely love to hear from you. Any other feedback as well? Again, thoseguysonthe.radio@gmail.com. I believe we're here. We're done with the show. Would you like to say anything, Satish? Oh, God, Satish, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm here. Apparently, I actually had a technical difficulty for a moment. I got really scared because I started speaking, and while I was speaking, you were like, hey, are you there? I was like, no, I'm here.
You want to know what's really scary? Intruder. Right now, as we're doing this, Toonami is on in the background for me, just playing the Parasite rerun. And Intruder is on in the background, the new episodes of Intruder. So you're like, technical difficulties? And I'm like, oh, God, it's come here, too.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's just like, I'm the inside man for Those Guys.
It's okay. But yeah,
no,
so again,
really,
you'd like to...
I like getting these out of the way in a good way. Story for Steven made me happy. Young Greg makes me happy. I want more Young Greg and original gems, like that whole little stuff going on. And I look forward to any interactions we get similar to this episodes. Buck is weird, but I like him. That's my final.
Me too. But
wait,
so again,
hold on.
What?
Peace in the Middle East, Holmes.
Oh, good God. All right, so
we were
thank you.
almost about to not mention that. Come on.
Almost.
He verbatim said it, Pat.
Yes, I know. All right, thank you all. Good night. Say good night, Satish.
Peace in the Middle East, yo.